Alright, so welcome to my life after the day job. So I thought I would show you how I go through Uplead and Nimble and sometimes LinkedIn and sometimes Hunter, depending on how I need to dig up my emails. So I have my Nimble and my Uplead up. So I have my saved searches. I have a bunch of saved searches because I go through what I've been working on. Specifically are the indie dev companies and production companies. It's just that I have a couple of different irons in the fire, but I've been focusing mostly on the games, obviously. So when I go through, in order to get the search to cooperate with me, especially with the indie game devs, let's see, I last finished up with Texas, so I will do that. So this list of indie game dev companies in Texas is what I came up with when I type in. I did search. Well, I had it to where it was computer games, not indie game. Here it is, right here. I was looking. This is what I was looking for. It's very tiny on my screen, so I couldn't see it. So I searched specifically for computer games. Now, when you pull up a company that it comes up with, you'll see prepackaged software and computer games. There's my buddy again. When I was first looking for the dev companies, I was trying to get it to narrow down to what I wanted to look for. So I found a company. Did I use Merck? I can't remember. I found a company. This was a while back. I can't remember which company I used, but I got to their web page. So say I went and found this web page on my own, and I wanted to find more companies like it. I typed in their quick search. I typed in their URL, and it would pull their page up here on Uplead, and then from that I could go into their page and I could see their code. I could see what tags they were using, and that's where I came up with hello. It's a little twitchy right there. That's where I came up with computer games to narrow it down. And it also has their web page link, and sometimes it'll have a description so you can kind of narrow down if it's a company that you want to dig more into. And then, of course, here's your director, producer. Here's all your people that you can unlock if you want to. Now, my search, not my lists. My saved searches, the last search that I did, I finished up with Texas. Texas is huge, so it's going to have more, 14 pages worth that I went through. So now it's time to move on to, I'm moving on to Oklahoma. So how do I know this? Because I have my very own risk board, basically, attached to my door. So I just move my little magnetic pins over every time I conquer a new state. So Oklahoma's next on the list. So I already, since I have saved this search, you can do that by clicking this button right here, save search. Once you get to a page that you want to be able to come back to, just hit save search. So I had gone through the industry name computer games. I typed it in here, and then it came up with a computer games, and then it comes up with, or if you wanted to do that, you could select your computer games, your software, hardware, networking. So I just picked games and I selected it. Let's get rid of that. And I put in job titles. I put in casting, director, producer, creator, designer, creator, founder, president, CEO. I should have CEO in there. I have founder. I should have CEO in there. Now why I have this is because like some titles have like co-founder or co-vice president. I don't know what the co-founder was, or co-founder I think was what I was wanting it to zoom in on, but I should add in CEO there. That would probably be helpful. I'll do that on my laptop. So this is just an idea of some of the job titles that I want it to pick up, and the location by state. When I move on to a new state, I X that out and I'll put Oklahoma, where the wind goes sweeping down. I hit done so that it saves it. If you just X out of it, nothing was found. Sometimes if there's not, I will just move on. There is, if I was going to pursue it, you can either Google it, indie game developers Oklahoma, if I wanted to do it that way. There's also, what is it called? Game Dev Map, where it also lists a bunch of companies by state. You can search if you happen to be looking for game developers like I am. It's updated regularly, also lies, because there are a lot of defunct companies in here. That's why I kind of moved over to using Uplead, where I was using this before. So you can browse by developer. What I do is usually, here's I'm looking for United States, and then it gives you can narrow it down. So if I was going to go to, maybe there isn't an Oklahoma. Let's see what this comes up. Well, there's a couple. They might be, here's online, here's the developers. So there's a couple that I will probably circle back around to pick up. I'll just move you over here for the time being. But that's just another, this is what I was using before I started using Uplead. So let me get rid of you. Let's move on to the next state then. We're going to X these. Next, Kansas. We're just going to select all, hit done so that it saves it. Oh my god, there's one. Let's check it out. Cubicle Hub. Let's see, cubiclehub.com. There's no description, but I recognize the code, prepackaged software computer game, so it might be okay. We've got a founder, so it must be very small. But that's okay. If it does anything, if it's current, I will probably send something. Okay, game development. We've got portfolio. One thing I like to do pretty quick is scroll all the way down just to make sure. Now, this page hasn't been updated since 2017. That could be a bad thing. But they may possibly just not have updated their page in a couple of years. Yeah. With it being such a small company, I don't really this wouldn't kind of give me a good vibe of something that I would want to chase after. Well, there is something from March of 2018, so there is something from last year, but I probably, to be honest, wouldn't bother with this one. I don't see a whole lot. We'll go to portfolio and see. This is why it takes so long, but to be fair, I probably would have moved on already, but I'm just kind of going through and showing the criteria that I look for when I'm scouring through my pages. This right here, taking 20 minutes to load a page, is probably another reason why I wouldn't stick around very long. Okay, no. Clients, this is a team. This is also where I go, like if I was inclined to send something, if they have their team members listed. Here's another good, even if you don't, like say you've only got one person listed here, founder director Sagar Medikar. 1,000 apologies for butchering that name. Here's game developer, game designer. Okay, so no. Contact, see, sometimes there's a Sagar, here he is. Okay. So sometimes you don't even need to use your credits. I have a lot of credits. But if there's any way that I can find it without using credits, obviously that's what I've done because I've managed to accumulate a few. because sometimes you can dig through these pages and see they'll give you an email, a direct email if they're really small. They'll give you a direct email instead of like info at. So sometimes you can find it without unlocking your, using up your credits. So it just takes a little digging sometimes, but then if I was to go ahead and email something, say I'll go ahead and load this into my Nimble just to show what I do. So Sagar, there's no way I'm going to copy paste this guy's name. Damn it. The idea is to copy and paste his name. I could unlock this if I wanted to use one of my umpteen credits, but I don't want to because we have his address right here. It would be pointless for me to waste a credit. So I go into my Nimble and I go add person. I'm just gonna copy paste and then get rid of that and that. He's the founder. He's listed as founder director, founder/director, founder of, who is it? Cubicle Hub. Cubicle Hub. Email. Comma. I'm a little clumsy. I usually do this on my laptop, and I usually have. This doesn't take quite this long on my laptop because I've got everything, pretty much down to a science over there. But I'm back here on this desktop, a little bit out of my element here. So save, and then it throws you to this screen. And then I can add a tag. This is a game company, so I've already got a tag in here. They are in, where are they, in Kansas? And they will actually add that. And then I go down here to send message. Now I have previously loaded, what I like about Nimble is you can load templates. So you load up your templates, however many templates you want. Actually, there's two plans. There's a couple of different plans. In one plan, you only get like 2 templates. I went through those pretty quick. But with the next plan up, you get unlimited templates. Obviously, I've been testing these over this amount of time. So I will, let's see. Video game first contact. This is the video game. Now, if you look, this is the template that I've been using for my video games here lately. Video game first contact. Now, if you look over here, where it's flashing here, kind of like how Earl showed us with MailChimp, where you have your email, a template pretty much there, and then you put in the formula of their name. Like when you fill in the information, their name, their company, whatever other information you want to fill in, you can use little snippets of code that will autofill whatever, like that first name category. It will autofill whatever you put in there. So Nimble does the same thing, which is what I've liked about it. I've got my message in there. I've got my link to my landing page, and I like being able to put my signature, my logo. I just copy pasted an image of my logo into my signature line to make it look snazzy and professional and stuff, and then my link one more time under here to my web page. But I reference my landing page up here in my message. So checking out your website, which is funny because I would have obviously noticed that they hadn't updated it in 2 years. So this could either bounce or he would get it and be like, I'm no longer in business or whatever, but we're going to go ahead and send it just because I'm here and I've spent the time doing this. Wanted to reach out and ask if you happen to keep a roster of professional voiceover artists handy for your upcoming projects. Love to connect, chat, blah, blah, blah. The other thing I like about Nimble is I can send and track. So I send and track, and then up here, whenever it gets opened or the link gets clicked on, it will give me a little notification up here. So I've got an open, open. Like all these people have opened. Here's one that clicked my link. Sometimes it's funny because you'll see, I'm trying to find it here. Mr. Ryan has been opening my link a lot. So I think sometimes what they do is pass it, either they open it to listen or open it to, you know, see if it's something they can use maybe for a project. Or they pass it to a coworker. I've had that happen where I've sent an email to someone in particular, and then someone completely different replies to the message because they have forwarded it on to their teammates. So that's handy to have. So in order to keep an eye on when I need to follow up, if I'm going to bother following up with this one, I just, my typical course is I'll set it for weekly, because after, I don't usually follow up that soon, but I'll show you the flag that it gives me. I add lead details so I know where I'm at in my, like this tells me this is my own system. You'll have to make up your own, but these, I cannot change these, so I just use what I've got. So it's a lead at this point. It's got a demo here, so I have sent my demo source, and since this is, I would like to be able to change these so it makes a little more sense, but I just kind of had to adapt these for my purposes. Sometimes I'll just use other. Now, since I have tagged it as follow-up weekly, reminder set weekly, you see all this, my bleeding screen here, all these red? This is where I've done the same thing, where I have a lead that I have sent my demo to. I sent it 9 days ago, and I have not followed up in a week, because I typically don't follow up quite that soon. It will say past due. So at a glance, I know I've got all these that I could potentially, like if I just wanted to follow up with someone in particular, I could just go, here's, let's see, I will pick a month ago, Chris. Let's pick on Chris. Skyless Game Studios. So I had, about a month ago, I had sent a demo, and he either possibly read it, didn't reply back, anything. He's the co-founder. I've got games. They happen to be in Pennsylvania. So if I wanted to send, now at this point I know I have sent the demo. That was my first email. So if I was going to send a follow-up, I've got a preset here for first video game follow-up. And it's just a little thing. A short time back, I reached out to you about my voiceover services. Wanted to follow up with you so you had a chance to check out my demos, blah, blah, blah. And then just make sure everything looks good. I always like to go over it and look and make sure I haven't accidentally done anything stupid, because you don't want to send something out that, you know, has a typo or you have accidentally glitched something or something. So I always just kind of glance over it and then send and track this. And then when that has sent, I will update this, and I will just set it for monthly just to keep an eye on it. And that will update when I go back to my list. Why is it still showing past due? Of course, it's going to make a huge liar out of me. Oh, also forgot to update when I do that, because I'm talking. This doesn't usually happen. When I send out my second email, I'll just switch it over to lead so that I know that I have sent the second email, so that I don't send a repeat first follow-up email. That would be embarrassing. So okay, at that point, here we go. It updated finally. So that is pretty much my process, my long and involved process. Go back to here, and that is apparently Kansas wrapped up in a tidy little nutshell. Then I move on to, I won't even save that because it's just one. There's no point in saving it. Oh, Nebraska, how are you doing today? Nebraska. Just move right on up that tornado alley. Done. Oh, look, there's no, it's just one. There's two people to contact in the same game company. So, Omaha, Nebraska, mobile social games. Interesting. It's like VR, but AR, VR. It's a growing industry. So when I see that, I'm like, this is probably current. Look at 2009 to 2017. Still not great. Say when you hit Uplead and you have all these. So you've got a co-founder, which is probably good. Out of this list, I'd probably go ahead, and especially since guy's name is Vu, obviously, Sky Vu, obviously he's you know, a mover and shaker in this relatively small company. So I would probably just go ahead and contact him, use him for my contact. And if I wanted to unlock this and use one of my 800 credits, which is probably what I would do, I would just go ahead and unlock that. However, if you don't have anything here that you really want to that you really like. If he wasn't there, you kind of don't want to contact a quality assurance lead out of the blue, so you'd want to try to find somebody else. There's also Hunter that I use, so it's you can attach it to your Chrome, to your browser. I use Chrome. It's very handy, and you see some of these email addresses that are attached to this website. Now, just so happens none of these are ones that I can use. However, if you go to Hunter there, and you can do a finder if you know the name of the person. So if you were to go to their LinkedIn page, it's all very complicated. But if you want to find a email address, you'll do it. So you go to see employees on LinkedIn. Here's a co-founder and CEO. So pretend his email address wasn't available right here. You were looking for somebody. So you could get his name, put it into here, put their web page, skyvoo.net, skyvoogames.net, and look at that, what do you know? He popped right up there, verified. So then you could just, and while I'm at it, why don't I just go ahead and add them to my list? These two, I'm not expecting anything because their web pages haven't been updated lately, but I'm going to go ahead and add them just because. Ben, gonna do, not the follow-up, so you can do first contact, and just proceed to replace that. Ben, dear Ben, dearest Benjamin, and send in track. Games, and we are in, where the hell are we? Nebraska now? Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska. Add. Gonna do lead. Sent demo. Partner. Check and see if I've bounced next week. Alright. So there's that. Now the bad thing about Hunter is they only give you 100 searches, so that can tend, especially starting this early in the month, that can tend to run out towards the end of the month if you're not careful with how you use your Hunter leads. So obviously something like that, I probably would have gone ahead and unlocked it with my uplead credits and saved Hunter for when I actually need to find an email address that I cannot find any other way. That's pretty much what I do, and then after I am done for the day, I track it on my little planning board there that is over my Risk World Conquest board, and that is how I try to keep myself on the straight and narrow with my emailing. I really want to kind of sleep for a little while, so so sending out those last handful of emails is going to be a challenge. I just have to sit down and do it after the nightlies. So do you. So I hope this helped at all. I hope it wasn't horribly confusing. I am not fantastic at this. This is not the 100% surefire way of doing things, but it is my way. Let me know if that was horribly confusing or if it helped, and have a good night. I'm going to sleep now. Lies. I'm probably not even going to bed until midnight. It's only 9. The lies I tell sometimes. Where the hell is there it is.